senior high schools across the country. 6 students of the Accra Girls Senior High School now being confirmed that indeed they've tested positive. Briefing journalists in Accra today, the Deputy Education Minister, Dr. Yaduchum, said 3 students at the Konongo Senior High School have also tested positive.
There was a report from Konongo Wesley Senior High School, and that is being handled by the Regional Director of Health in Ashanti Region, where about 3 students were confined. So in all cases, when we get the media reports, we have to quickly look at, is this the truth, or is this one of those hoax issues that are sometimes caused by students? So, Mr. Minister, that is what I will speak in regards to those reports. But what we need to also understand is that there's now a heightened sense of awareness. Schools have been told to do training, step it up. If they were doing just an hour a week, now they have to do more in all their classes for the students and teachers to become more aware of how to deal with the situation and what they should avoid. I think.
Well, he's also been allaying fears of parents, saying government has put in place the necessary measures to contain the spread within the schools.
What we want parents to understand is that everything possible is being done to make sure the safety of the children is protected, that the children are not in harm's way, and that anything that the Ghana Health Service has to do is being expedited, is being done in a way that is different from what is even done in the general community, because they know these are children who are in school, whose parents have entrusted them to our care, and we need to make sure that they are safe. The Ghana Education Service conducted a joint inspection of the school. They have access to continue to heighten the awareness in terms of physical distancing, in terms of the number of students that can eat at the dining hall at the same time. They have asked that we continue to ensure that the protocols are observed at the school as they deal with the students who have been isolated and the students who have had contact with those who unfortunately are positive. The 6 students who are positive are now in the care of excellent health workers and medical staff, and they are receiving the best of care so that we can protect them and we can get them out of the sickness situation.
Well, it appears the measures announced today hasn't convinced parents. We're now hearing from the Parent Teachers Association of Ghana, the National Association. The president has been speaking, Alexander Danso, is asking government to conduct mass testing of students and teachers as earlier proposed.
Initially, when they were going to reopen schools, I think some associations were invited. They invited the association to give tell them exactly what they should. We also sent our proposal that we suggested that they want the students to come back. As soon as they come, they must be tested.
Okay, so that's a position of the National Parent Teachers Association. I want to bring in now the teachers themselves. The Vice President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Jacob Anaba, is with me on the telephone line. Also joining me tonight is the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Titus Bayu. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Mr. Anaba, let me start with you first. We just heard from the Deputy Minister say that they are doing everything possible to keep the children safe in the schools. He outlined social distancing measures, what happens at the dining, in the dorms, the isolation, the treatment, etc. You are a teacher. You are in the classrooms. Are these adequate for you?
Yeah, Evans, good evening. Yes, to some extent we can say they are adequate. But you are dealing with students who are between the ages of 15 to 18. And when they come to school with the excitement, meeting their friends, they tend to behave differently. If you take, for example, the dormitories, when they go back after classroom work, they retire to the dormitories. It is not easy to control them in the dormitories. When they are sleeping, they cannot wear the nose masks or the face masks. they will sleep without them. So if somebody has come into the school already infected, such a person is likely to transmit the disease to the fellow student. And that is why when we were asked to send a proposal, as the PTA chairman rightly pointed out, we said that there was a need to test every student and every teacher that will come to the school so that we know those who are free from the virus. And therefore, the school at least will be safe for the period of about 2 to 3 weeks. That wasn't done because government said that it couldn't do that. So, and this situation is bringing fear and panic to not only the parents, but the whole society at large, because when the disease becomes very prevalent in the schools, it will be difficult to control, taking into consideration the behavior of our students on campus.
So, I understand that some of your teachers have been infected. We hear a story at Accra Girls High School. Is that accurate?
That is true.
Okay.
The teacher and the spouse.
The teacher and the spouse?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the only case you know of?
For now, we are getting information from the other regions. I'm speaking with you now, no other teacher has been confirmed to have the virus.
And how is this? How are your members reacting to this?
Oh, most definitely. Just like the health workers have been reacting to some of their members being infected with the virus, we are also very, very anxious, and it has thrown us into a state of fear, lack of concentration to do the work. With the assurance that the government is giving, we are asking that they will do more so that the teachers will
specify for me. When you say do more, what more do you want?
Yeah, you are talking about, we first indicated that there should be testing of all teachers and students. I think when we do that, it will bring some confidence into the school environment.
Okay.
So that one should be done.
Okay. Let me bring in Titus Bayo. Stay with me, Ms. Anaba. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. So you hear the teachers that say, the measures are somewhat adequate, but are testing to it. I wonder, if they are testing to it, would they justify the students being in the schools now?
Good evening, Evans, and thank you for having me, and good evening to my colleague on the other line. I think the mass testing at this moment will not be warranted. I can understand their anxiety, I can understand their worry, and pretty much the same of parents as well, and even the students. But considering that the students are in school, they have mingled, and they are going on, if you do mass testing now, I'm wondering what scientific purpose that will serve. Also, the other thing is we should also not lose sight of the fact that the testing resource is not a limitless resource. There is scarcity of test reagents, and just about a week ago, we have run short of reagents nationally. We only got a new consignment coming in, I'm told, over the weekend. And so with the government admitting that we are having these challenges, then we need to prioritize the testing. And testing all the students and their teachers, the positivity rate may be very low, and it does not necessarily mean that if you are negative today, you will be negative tomorrow. So you may go and test all the students and find out that a lot of them are negative. The following day, some will be positive. And some can be positive because either people are coming in, staff are going in and out. A few of the schools that they ask all the day students to move into the boarding house. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like this has happened in all the schools. So if there are a few day students who are moving in and out, they will still form as an external link between these students and the external
and potentially
community.
Spread with the infections within the school.
Exactly.
But I must ask you then, so if the testing won't work now, it's a fact that students are getting infected, so what should happen now?
So the first one is to appeal for calm. The second is for government to manage this situation well, and like I mentioned, come out and let us know what their plan B and plan C is.
Well, it appears, I mean, we had the Deputy Education Minister. They have one plan, which is put in place the measures, tighten them as much as possible. The kids will stay in school once that's happened. That's all they have. That's what they told the world today.
That is hoping that, you see, you always plan for the best, but you also should plan for the worst. That is hoping that the infection does not escalate. We don't get a lot of students being infected. Because if that happens, and let's say in a particular school, more than half of the students are infected, how would academic work continue? We are blocking parents from coming in. Let's remember that people will be very anxious. If you will know, look at what happened at the Accra Girls' School. So I think the plan B should be made clear, and even a possible plan C. And I'm saying this because these students are in school for some weeks, and we are preparing them for an exam. So close to exam. If you have some of these students still infected, how will they set the exam? If some of them are in treatment, what will happen? So this type of alternatives.
So what should the plan B be?
So we should know a threshold. For instance, if we have an outbreak, and let's be careful and also know that our healthcare system has limitations. So if we have an outbreak in a school population of, say, of 500, if you have 200 students having it, will that school continue? We should know what the thresholds are. At what point will we say that, look, at this point, the system cannot handle it? And remember, these schools are being linked to various health facilities within their jurisdiction. What is the capacity of that health facility to handle a mass outbreak? So we must know.
So what you're saying in clear terms is have a threshold that says beyond, if this number of students get infected, it becomes untenable to continue the school session, close down the school.
Either, yes, for a particular school, or if we have a certain number of schools nationwide, we may have to close everything down. And can we explore options of doing an electronic form of this exam with WAEC, or write the exam in another way, or what are the options available to us? I think that aspect is important.
Yeah.
For now, first thing is that parents must calm down, all of us must calm down, and see how we manage the situation.
Yeah, I mean, let me bring Miss Anna. Miss Anna, but you do support the closure of schools if more students and teachers get infected?
Most definitely. Life must be prioritized over certificate. We must ensure that the person lives and have another chance to take an exam. Like my brother rightly pointed out, we can have alternatives in taking the exams. That should be the plan B, so that when we get to a certain threshold that the schools cannot contain. And mind you, the school system has said that they are limited in terms of facilities when it comes to medical treatment. So when that happens, the school cannot contain it, and therefore the only remedy will be to close down the school and find an alternative for the students to take their exam.
Yeah, I mean, Titus, a very quick 30 seconds on this. It appears to me, although we are not mass testing the students, it appears to me that the students who show symptoms are only those who are being tested. But that comes with some downside, does it not? Because once you start showing symptoms, it means you're really on at the extreme end of the virus and the disease, and that could sometimes prove pretty dangerous as well.
Well, fortunately, if you look at the group of people we are talking about, we are not hoping that they will get very severe disease, even though some may have underlying conditions that can make them prone to that. The danger of testing only those with symptoms is that at that point, their infectivity is very high. And so if you test their contacts are likely to also be positive.
Yeah.
But for now, it looks like the only option that we may have, considering the limitations in resources. So I think what the schools can do is continue the education of the students, make them very aware of the situation so that people are very conscious of it every single day so that they take actions that will protect them.
Okay,
and then where there's an outbreak, yes, and limit the spread. And where there's an outbreak, enhance surveillance. They should test all the contacts and communicate speedily with parents so that the anxiety level is calm.
Okay, I'm grateful, Titus. Earlier you had the Mr. Naba with the Ghana Association of Graduate Teachers. Now, Ghana Health Service today says the nation is recording an average of 400 cases a day, and they are concerned about this. This is a source of concern, as the service says it points to non-adherence to the safety protocols. Now, the ministry pronounced the country has recorded 891 new cases today after hitting the highs and bringing the total case count to 21,968. Now, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaje, has been briefing journalists.
There's an increasing trend. There's a downward trend currently, but that is yet to be seen how it turns out more tests are done. So this tells you that we are doing an average now of about 400 cases a day, and that is something that we need to really take caution and make sure we bring it down. We are happy that our stakeholders are also coming in to play a part in making sure that people adopt the etiquette and the protocol that has been done.
Well, Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah also at the briefing today gave an update on the president's situation in isolation, and also confirming that Senior Minister Osafo Marfo also tested positive.
Today, I think, will be day 3. The President has been conducting state business via telephone and other technology, and has been in particular following up on the COVID response program, as well as the broader 2020 work plan of his administration. We are thankful to all for the best wishes to him. In a separate development that has come to us this morning, Senior Minister Osafo Marfo has been informed that his sample given for test has returned positive. He will therefore, as of today, commence treatment for COVID-19 from home. And in consonance with the transparency that we are bringing to this, he has instructed that we inform the general public of this accordingly. We continue to encourage strict compliance to the preventive etiquette, particularly social distancing and the wearing of masks. Government is committed to doing its part by providing more and more public education, logistics, stepping up enforcement, but we as citizens also have a responsibility to protect ourselves too. The ones that government cannot do for us, we must do for ourselves.
So let's bring in virologist with the KCCR, Dr. Michael Owusu. Mr. Michael Owusu, thank you for time here on Newsnight. The Ghana Health Service is raising the alarm. An average of 400 cases a day. They are concerned. Should we be concerned too? And what does this mean?
Yeah, good evening, Evans, and good evening to all your cherished listeners. Yes, I think we should be concerned and we should be worried as a country because of the increasing number of cases. If you remember, we started from somewhere March 12 or 13 with just about 2 cases, and gradually we entered into the phase of community transmission, and then we are in a form of pervasive community transmission now, where almost on a daily basis we seem to have these huge numbers. But then one thing we must know as a country is that this is not peculiar to Ghana. So the virus was quite slow in entering and then establishing itself on the African continent. It took about 100 days for, just about a few days for us to record about 100,000 cases in Africa. 100 days for 100,000 cases in Africa, and about 18 days for us to double this number. Currently in Nigeria, we have about over 29,000 cases. In South Africa, it's over 200,000 cases. In Algeria, it's about 164,000 cases. South Africa is currently reigning in the whole of Africa, even overtaking North Africa. It looks like the temperature terrain seems to be contributing to this rapid surge in cases. So what it means is that, our strategies going forward, we have to relook at it. The mitigating strategies are very good, and we have to put on masks, do social distancing, and do everything we have to do. But then, if people are not adhering, and people are still doing what they are doing around, removing their masks and doing all sort of things, then of course, we may have to balance this with a form of a suppressive strategy to enable us reduce this new number of cases. My worry is that in the coming weeks, it is possible that this average case of 400 may increase. And when it increases with the limited logistics and the increasing surges in critical illness and severe illness, it is likely that we may record some increasing number of deaths. And we have to begin to relook at our strategies to prevent this from happening across different parts of the country.
I'm grateful that you joined us, Prof. Doc, for your time on this matter. I must say, it's pretty scary to hear the numbers now. Ghana Health Service itself is worried. And as you said, they're predicting that possibly there could be more death. Listen, COVID-19 is absolutely real. I'm sitting here in the studio wearing my face mask. My Elton Broby sitting behind the console wearing his as well. George joining me is just removing his sanitizer and sanitizing around him. That's what you need to do just to stay alive. Well, still listen to News Night. Let me bring you another story, of course, that has become a topical one because this one affects everybody. After several threats, I'm sure you've heard, by transport unions, government tonight is announcing an increase in transport fares by up to 15%. And it starts this Saturday, July 11. Now, Deputy Transport Minister Titus Glover, speaking to Joy News, said government took the decision acknowledging the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on drivers. It comes a day after the leadership of a group calling itself Concerned Drivers Union threatened to increase fares by 30% due to the increases in fuel prices. The Deputy Minister, however, adds that all existing safety protocols must still be adhered to.
The transport unions made an application to the ministry, but because of the COVID-19, government has asked them not to load full capacity. So they are losing a lot of money because of the running cost of the operation. So they came with two applications. One, government should allow them to run full seating capacity, or we should allow them to increase the transport fare. That was yesterday, and this afternoon we held a meeting, and we've all agreed by parties that with the effect of Saturday, 11th of this month, we have increased the transport fare by 50%. And in going forward, they should continue to hold the safety COVID-19 protocols, i.e., the washing of hands, sanitizing the hands, putting the no entry marks on their faces by passengers, mates, and the drivers on their vehicles. You also paste the new fares at their offices for the public to know the real fares at their station.
So that is Titus Glover confirming the 15% rise in transport fares beginning July. I want to hear from you on the 0244-340437, the 15% increase in transport fares. You may possibly be in a truck or a taxi heading home right now and listening to the increase that has just been announced. And so I'm curious to hear what your view is on this. Plus, if you're a parent and your child is in the senior high school, you had the first story, government's measures they say they're putting in place and the conversation around that. I'm also interested in hearing from you, but George Yafe from the business desk is joining me. He has more on the increase in the transport fares. You've been talking to the GPRTU, the transport union, and their position is, are they happy with the 50%?
Well, they were looking for more than that. I think they're looking for about 40% jump in transport fares, but it looks like they have to settle for this 15% because they think that it wasn't enough, looking at the fact that they are actually complying with this social distancing and other input costs have also gone up. So they think that 40% might be a realistic adjustment in the fare. So I'll be getting you more on that one in terms of how they're going to ensure that all their members actually comply with this 15% jump in transport fares. And also, more companies are being hit by COVID-19 at the workplace. The latest is Gridco, as one of our staff test positive for the virus. We'll be looking at the impact on power supply. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you? And it has been 25 years of supporting those abandoned entrepreneurs out there.
So everyone says I'm a Kosia filler, but it's not like I'm nosy or go out to find out the latest filler. It's just that I get 50 megabytes of data free after paying for only the first minute of every call. And so I just keep discovering stuff minute after minute. That's how come I was minding my business, scrolling through my timeline, and I found out Coco has a new baby. Oh, and lastly, I learned Ken won the lottery. You see, Ken is my brother's friend. So hello, look who's about to roll with the rich and famous.
Enjoy even more value with MTN Free After One. You only pay for the first minute of your call on MTN free after 1, and the rest is free. Plus, you enjoy free 50 megabytes worth of data to browse your favorite sites. Compare where, compare there. So dial *315# to sign up. We day for you everywhere you go. Terms and conditions apply.
Do you know that the Electoral Commission is undertaking the compilation of a new voters register this year, so we will register again?
Every Ghanaian citizen of 18 years and above and of sound mind, ordinarily resident in an electoral area, is eligible to register.
What steps will be taken to ensure the safety of the applicants?
Every applicant must wear a face mask before entering the registration center. No face mask, no entry. You will wash your hands with soap under running water. Your temperature will be checked, while you maintain a minimum distance of 1 meter while in the queue. Your finger will be checked for an electoral stain to know if you've already registered before being sanitized. Your data will be captured on Form 1A. You will provide the officer with your residential address, your GPS address, your hometown address, your town and district, as well as the full names of your parents, dead or alive. Then you will be sent to the data entry clerk. The clerk will sanitize the scanner before capturing your fingerprints. He will then type your details into the biometric system, take your picture, and print the Form 1C and give it to you with the Form 1A. You will thumbprint the Form 1A in front of the laminating clerk. Then the clerk will cut out the card parts of the Form 1C. Then laminate your new voter's ID card for you. Your finger will be dipped in an indelible ink. Hand sanitizers will be provided before you leave the registration center.
When are you going to register?
Daddy, I registered during the last electoral exercise, so I won't register again.
Don't you know that this is a total replacement of the old voters register? It means if you have registered before, you have to register again.
Hey.
You will need either a passport or your national ID card to register. If you don't have a passport or a national ID card, you must provide 2 already registered people to stand as your guarantors.
What about your mother who's too old to join the queue?
Vulnerable, persons with disability, older adults, pregnant and lactating mothers are not left out. Download the Voters Registration Form 1A from the Electoral Commission website, www.ec.gov.gh. Print it, fill it out, and bring it along with your passport, national ID card, or 2 guarantors to the district office of the Electoral Commission or to the registration center to register. Note that only the vulnerable, the aged, pregnant and lactating mothers will be allowed to print out their form online and bring it to the district office or the registration center.
Register to vote. Your vote is your power. We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Boost Sensationary. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Boost Sensationary.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
It is time, yes. It's time again for each and every Ghanaian above 18 years to register to be able to vote. Let's all come out in our numbers in accordance with the protocols established in this COVID-19 era by the Electoral Commission to register and continue to vote for leaders who will positively reshape our country's destiny. Remember, it's 4 more for Nana. It begins with your registration today. You cannot vote unless you are eligible, and the only way is to get registered.
Joy 99.7 FM.
You're welcome back to Business on News. Now let's settle for the details. Now, the Ghana Road Transport Union is actually saying that they'll be working with the local assemblies to strictly enforce the planned increase in fares. The various transport unions today at the meeting with government agreed to a 15% hike in transport fares that is beginning this Saturday. Now, this is despite proposing about 40% jump in adjustment. However, these reviews are often characterized by some drivers not adhering to their approved fares. But Chairman of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, Kwame Kuma, says they would ensure that it doesn't happen this time around.
I can assure you that so far as the communique has come out, we know all the ministers, the minister, if the increment comes out, they will call all the students within the district and sit down with them and make sure that the percentage, they are complying with it. So far as they have come out and make the communique going out, so that now government has given us 15%. I am not sure that anyone can take more than 15%.
You're going to work with the local authorities to ensure that these members or your members comply with this increment. And
now Ghana, a lot of people are well educated. So we are talking about 15%. And if you want to take more about that, the person can challenge you. So we are telling them that the fare increment is 15%. And it's going to start on Saturday. From today going to Friday, later the public, for them to know that if you are traveling on Saturday, you are going to pay a new fare. So you're not going to start today or tomorrow. It will start on Saturday.
Kwame Kuma is chairman of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union. Now, more companies are being hit by COVID-19 in terms of their staff testing positive for the virus. The latest is power transmitting firm Gridco that has had one of its staff hit by the virus. Gridco, however, insists it was contracted outside the offices, even though measures have been taken to protect its staff and ensure the power supply is not affected. Even as Amankwa is head of public affairs at Gridco.
As a company, the management team of Gridco decided that notwithstanding, it would be appropriate as a precautionary measure to act on a mass testing exercise for all staff of the company who have come to work at our Tema office between June 15th to present, just so that in case there are likely positive results, we can immediately isolate and treat and ensure the safety and the protection of the lives of our employees. As for our mandate to our key stakeholders in Ghana and the sub-region in terms of the transmission of power services, that continues unabated. We shall continue to do it as our business operations enjoins us to do. That's our mandate. Nothing has changed. Our business continuity process is in place, and we continue to ensure that we work within our remit to ensure that we can transmit power effectively.
Ebenezer Mankwa is head of public affairs at Gridco, giving us the assurance that power supply, we are sure nothing would happen. Already, Evans, you know that Boss has also shut down the office temporarily for some fumigation, and also Cocoa Board as well, to ensure that this doesn't affect their work badly. They've actually diverted or asked their clients to engage them on the various virtual platforms so that business is not affected in any way. Now, the IMF Africa boss, Abebe Selassie, says he fully supports central bank's assistance to government, including Ghana, to ensure that they minimize the impact of the COVID-19 on their operations. Now, the Bank of Ghana recently announced a 15 billion Ghana cedi support for government to help finance the deficit and also manage the economy and reduce the shocks of COVID-19 on the economy. Now, this has ever not gone down well with some economists and parliamentarians questioning the Bank of Ghana's assistance to government by participating in the Africa Center for Economic Transformation ACET program from Washington. Abebe Selassie said that this should not be seen as a problem.
I do not see this as being an issue right now. I think, central banks should do what they need to right now to support their economies. If indeed there is a sense that there is excess liquidity down the road, that there's always scope to, do monetary operations to mop up that liquidity and keep an eye on inflation. But right now, I don't see inflationary pressures in many countries. By no means all. I mean, there are some countries where inflation remains stubbornly high, but that was the case pre-crisis also. None where we see inflation being a threat on account of the liquidity injection countries have done, and that's a problem we can attend to down the road.
Abebe Selassie is the African Development head at the Africa, that is the IMF actually. He is the head of Africa Department at the IMF, speaking there. Now, the Bank of Ghana will later this month begin its regular meeting to review the health of the economy. The meeting is expected to begin on Wednesday, July 22nd to Friday, July 24. Now, many will be looking forward to see what will be the Bank of Ghana's assessment of the health of the economy, our debt position, and also the real impact of the COVID-19 on the economy. And that's all for business on Newsnight.
John, thank you very much. How much do you know about Kwamina Kwamina, assuming you love her songs?
Yeah, great musician, you know.
Yeah, and he's going to be on the spotlight later.
I know I'm very romantic.
Hey.
I am. Yeah.
Yeah?
That I have no doubt.
What?
Well, stay with me for that later. Those of you who, as we say, hopeless romantics, you love Kwamina Kwamina later when he features on the spotlight. Well, of course, this is your election headquarters, and we're hearing tonight from Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, who says the newly nominated NDC running mate, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, lacks what it takes to complement Mahama's candidature for the 2020 elections. Well, that isn't the position of the NDC at all. They believe the Prof is the best person to complement John Dramani Mahama. Listen to the Deputy NDC Campaign Manager, Alex Egbefia, speaking on PM Express last night.
The reason why I think she was chosen is because it brings a totally different face to the politics of Ghana. If you go around and you speak to many people nowadays, what they tell you is that politicians hold the same. And they also tend to intimate that there is no difference, say, between the NDC and the MPP for some people. And I personally think that the politics of Ghana is going down the drain in terms of the kind of politics we are dealing with and how we perform. To bring in somebody like Professor Opoku-Agyeman, it changes the dynamics and it gives hope to a whole plethora of people that, look, notwithstanding what is happening, there's a hope that we are now going to shift the type of politics that has been played over years into a different form of politics. Politics of truth, politics of standing up for what is right, politics of thinking of people's welfare and putting them at the forefront.
Okay. The majority leader, Che Mensah-Bonsu, disagrees with that. He says she may have excelled in the academic world, but she does not possess the qualities and governance needed to effect any change. Well, listen to him.
In this country, we all do know that the major problems that we have are in the areas of the rule of law, fashioning out real quality governance architecture which will add value to the lives of the people. So you're looking at that. You're looking at the economy. How are you growing the economy such that the impact positively on the lives of the people and indeed on the environment, the natural environment? So these are the two main things. So if you're looking for a ticket, President Mahama is a communicator. So you want maybe a person who is a lawmaker or a lawyer who would add value to the governance architecture.
Well, we're also hearing now from the current president's campaign team directly. Deputy campaign manager there, Mustafa Hamid, has been speaking about the nomination and confirmation of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman.
For people to suggest somehow that because she's a woman, that necessarily should encourage all of us to go behind the ticket, I think that is not being fair to the woman at all. And I'm sure that in the next few days, she will come out and advise the Ghanaian public that she's running to be vice president based on her record, not because she's a woman. Are you following me? Now, on the last issue of compassion, because really, being a woman also requires that you are compassionate. Okay? That people talk about the womb as a place where we nurture life and so on. So women naturally have a nurturing and a caring nature. And in that sense, I find that her endorsement of the release of the Muntie tray did not quite do justice to that nature for people who threatened to kill and rape the first female Chief Justice of our land.
Well, the minority spokesperson on gender and children, Ladia Yamba, has condemned what she described as unwarranted attacks on the newly selected NDC running mate. According to her, Professor Pokwajiman have all the qualities to occupy that position and do well.
If today, Professor Nana Opokwajiman has been given the opportunity, it's a right thing in the right direction. It is very, very okay. It's a furtherance to our democracy. And so, if today people think that it's a woman and can make statements like, because the NDCs do not have competent women, that is why they have gone for competent men. That is why they have gone for a woman. That is very, very sad. I think it's good that all other women should listen, analyze, and reconsider this statement. That is an insult to the integrity of every single woman in this world. Not only Ghanaians, not only politicians, every single woman. Because it goes to state that women are second-class humans. That is why those people have made this unfortunate statement.
Okay, so that is NDC's defense from Parliament. So listening to News Night on Joy997 FM. I want to share a few of your messages on the key question of the transport fares, but also the controversy over the students in the senior high schools in the wake of the pandemic. Many now confirmed to be infected. SK says, why are parents being prevented from rescuing their own wards since government is increasingly becoming impotent and careless with their welfare? Joseph from Kumasi says the transport union should include, among other things, disinfection in their vehicles. This salary should be increased as well. This one says, now after increase in fare, who suffers it? So government who claims to love the citizens can't instead reduce fuel prices, whom you will, he says. AC says this increment in fares is outrageous already because of COVID. Some of us aren't receiving full salary for some months now, and now fares have gone up. This one, somebody here, Gloria, says some of the drivers have started charging the new fares since yesterday. For example, drivers from Kaneshi to Nima and Mamobi and back are charging 42%. That's John in Kokromimle. Jerry says, I think the school should be closed permanently until things normalize. The EC should suspend the registration too. Has no name, this one. It says some drivers had already increased fares. For instance, Kwando Toko to Tukpong. Tukpong used to be 23 CDs, but I was charged 32 CDs last week, and now 15%. And the final one says, it's a pity the way transport companies are allowed to have their way in this country. Well, a man who has no problem with transportation joins me on the phone with the latest from the world of sports. Hello, Benedict.
Hi, Evans.
What's in sports tonight?
Well, the race for the top four is really getting interesting. And as I see, Chelsea are taking on Crystal Palace with a game just about ending. And Chelsea are leading by 3 goals to 2. What it does to the standings is that Chelsea will now move to third. 60 points, and that means that it will just be 6 points difference between Chelsea and Manchester City, with Leicester dropping to the fourth with 58. And of course, your Manchester United will be in fifth with 55 points. And remember, there is a game to come. And looking at the form that United are in with the Bruno Fernandes Pogba, looks certain that Manchester United can get into the top four. And remember, Wolves are also looking around that area. And the Chelsea Palace game is just about ending to as I mentioned, Chelsea doing everything possible to get a win at the Selhurst Park. Other game also currently ongoing. That's the Watford-Norwich game. It actually just ended with Watford winning by 2-1. Wonderful, brilliant goal scored by Danny Welbeck, who has not scored for the side for a very long time. Later, at exactly 7:15, we have Arsenal. They are up against Leicester City, and it's not just the English Premier League that we're having tonight. Also, in the Serie A, Lecce are taking on Lazio currently. They've done 60 minutes in that game, and it's 2-1 in favor of Lecce. Later tonight, we've got AC Milan up against Juventus, who are gunning to win another Scudetto title. Currently, they're in a very comfortable position to do that. If they're able to, win their remaining 2 games, they will be champions in the Serie A. And the Spanish La Liga also will see 2 games. One is currently ongoing, 1-1 between Valencia and Valladolid, and later we'll have Celta de Vigo who will come up against Atletico Madrid. That's Thomas Partey's team.
Well, Benedict, keep safe. Thank you very much. Well, tonight it is imagined that 90% of dams constructed under government's One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region cannot be used for irrigation purposes. This is a verdict from a new research conducted by the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. The research further reveals that there was poor consultation with other government agencies such as the district assemblies in the planning phase of the initiative, and as a result, the district assemblies could not effectively supervise the projects. Now, Upper East Regional Correspondent Albasori sat through a dissemination session for the research and filed this report.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, with funding from Oxfam, commissioned the research to examine the implementation of the One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region. The research, which was led by Professor Joseph Yaro of the Department of Geography at the University of Ghana, established that so far, 83 out of the 140 dams promised by the government have been completed. This represents 59%. He said about 90% of the dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam initiative in the Upper East region cannot be used for irrigation purposes.
It will be much more useful in the future if we aggregated the SAMs and did dams in places where dams are possible. Most of these dams basically can be classified as domestic use or livestock dams, really, in terms of usage, but not for farming. So irrigation really is out of the question for probably 90% of the dams.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana's research also touched on the key issue of the amount of money allocated for the construction of each dam and whether the amount was enough to construct good quality dams. Andrew Alalbila is an engineer with the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority who were interviewed as key informants in the research.
We're told it was between 230,000 to 250,000 Ghana cedis per dam site. For one to construct a very meaningful dam that will serve the purposes of irrigation, that money will not be enough.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana has also made some recommendations to the government based on the findings of their research. Abdul Rahman Mohammed is national president.
Make sure that they are well renovated and they are well structured so that the farmers will use them, or else they can't use them.
It remains to be seen whether government will improve on the size and quality of dams constructed under the One Village, One Dam initiative. For Joy News, reporting from Bolgatanga.
And that is a report there on that research that was done. We're expecting to speak to the Northern Development Authority. We'll get them and get a reaction to this. But let me take you to the world of love songs, locally brewed, of course. From the lips of Kwabena. He's known to rekindle relationships with his love songs and voice. Over the years, Kwabena has become one of Ghana's favorite acts due to his creativity. Kwabena is on Spotlight tonight.
George Kwabena Edu, popularly known as Kwabena, is a Ghanaian highlife musician, guitarist, and an accomplished draftsman. He emerged after featuring on Kontehene's 2004 hit AC, and he featured Kontehene on his own debut hit and album Aso. 3 of those songs were used in the soundtrack of Sparrow's production, The Perfect Picture.
I know I'm very romantic. I am. Yeah. That I have no doubt.
Kwabena did not start his musical journey by chance, since he started playing the guitar in church at the age of 14, and he also led the church choir. He then started hanging around Hush Hush Studios, featuring on various songs. His voice and genre of music is one of the qualities that make Kwabena unique.
You know, I get people actually fascinating about the things I do, but not actually chasing me like chasing you, you know. Okay. They are fascinated, they are happy. I mean, they see you and they kind of they tell you what they use your song to do.
Kwabena has a strong passion for philanthropic work and believes in his Ghanaian environment, which led him to establish a foundation called the Kwabena Save a Life Foundation. He went on to achieve a number of local and international awards, some of which include the Best Vocal Performance and the Best Songwriter. His third album, Dachi, came out in 2013, which also had his songs like Buikwine,
Okay, so that's Kwabena there, ending tonight's edition of News Night. And guess who is coming up after me? He's a man who starts his show with his own unique song. I don't know what he knows of Kwabena, by the way. His name is Spikey and is up next with a Geek Squad. What do you know of Kwabena?
Oh,
it's a simple question.
Well, I know Kwabena. The song you played, it was actually produced by my cousin, so I know him.
First time you should say, Charlie.
I'll be updated.
Absolutely.
Last time you put me on the spot. So
Charlie. Anyway. By the way, what's up on Geek Squad tonight?
There's a whole lot of things happening in the tech world, and people keep asking questions. So we're going to answer some of those questions.
Okay.
Tell people what's happening about TikTok and all that stuff. Yeah, last week we spoke about it, but people still didn't really catch it. So
okay.
And then we'll answer some of their questions.
Well, something to get yourself excited by whilst you stay in your own self-imposed lockdown. Do you have his intro song ready? Hit me.